I decided to look into rhyming in spell work and why we use it. Well, not everybody does, but it always seems to be to add that bit of power somehow to the spell work. So anyway, I began with looking at the etymology and meaning of rhyme, and it was described as a correspondence of sound between the words. It also has the same root as rhythm, which is interesting. So there are two laws, I'll call them laws, of magic and occult, that sort of thing, metaphysical laws then. And one is the law of correspondence, which talks about the similarity of things enhances the influence. So I'm looking at the correspondences of the sounds between words. Seems to connect with the idea of similarity enhancing the influence. Also, the law of correspondences does talk about the patterns of the universe and the patterns of our lives and repeating patterns. And this is something we're often looking to change in spell work. So then I went on to look at some more generic ideas about rhyme, and it's used as a memory aid, which makes sense. We learn things much quicker if they're rhyming. If it's a little rhyming verse, it's much quicker to learn and memorize. And in this way, it can embed itself into the deep mind. We've all experienced, when somebody hums a little ditty and then it's going around and round in your head all day. It's that kind of principle. So that if it's embedded into the deep mind or into the subconscious, it is holding that intention as it sort of plays in like a loop in the subconscious mind. There is the musicality element, which raises it to more of an art form, and art and symbols are the language of the subconscious, of the deep mind. And also, it can be trance-inducing, so something that is chanted that has this lovely rhythm and cadence can shift our consciousness, and then we become more in tune with the non-physical world. Oh, sorry, I have notes and bits of paper all over the place, so do forgive me. But going back to the law of correspondences, this also incorporates what we know today as the law of attraction. Like attracts like, and perhaps like words attract like results. And I saw a really brilliant comment on Reddit, actually, in answer to this rhyme question, which I'll put up on screen now. It takes more energy or more consideration to compose a rhyme for spell work than just jotting down some random, well, they wouldn't be random, but you know what I mean, jotting down lines. So that more energy or power is poured into that, and the deep mind is alerted and it thinks, oh, this is important. So rhyme and verse hint at more powerful words, and that brought me into looking at Shakespeare and how very often he uses, he gives his characters verse to speak, especially if they are more important characters, or that the words they're speaking have some greater import. And I was reading something from an expert in Shakespearean verse, and he was talking about how verse is heart-centered. It speaks to and from the non-logical mind, and I think we definitely want to be including that sort of wording in spell work. It kind of brings a Latin flavour to the English language, with its, especially with the iambic pentameter that Shakespeare used quite frequently. And many years ago, centuries ago, Latin was considered to be a superior language. Then I looked at Galdr, which is from Norse magic, and it is about chant and spell and song. And its root is from the word, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Gala, which is to howl or to scream and cry. And that certainly speaks to us of passion and emotion. And it uses a poetic structure. And below in the description, I will leave a link, not a link, I will leave a description of Arith Hager's channel, because he does fantastic work and he would certainly explain that far more than I can, because I don't know a great deal about Norse magic. In the course of this, I also listened to Alan Moore on language and writing and magic, and I will also leave the description of that down below. So, do you have to use rhyming? Well, of course you don't, and if it makes you feel silly or self-conscious, then it's probably counterproductive, and yeah, just abandon it or try again and come up with something that doesn't make you feel silly or self-conscious. I mean, I have written little ditties here and there, and sometimes they're just so bad that I wouldn't use them because it would make me feel ridiculous. So, with all these principles in mind, I decided to try out a verse. And please forgive me, I'm no poet, that's for sure. But just for the sake of example, and trying to bring these principles into the verse. So just for argument's sake, we are in a situation where we want to get rid of someone from our lives. And this is something that we might come up with and use in spell work. So it would go something like this. I lift my gaze to see a star, and as I do, I'm driving far to gladly bid, and here we would put the name of the person, au revoir. Yes, I'm sorry, I know it's bad, but we're looking at the principles, so we're conflating looking up at the star, which we can do in physicality, to leaving this person, to the situation, to finding ourselves in the desired situation of having bid that person goodbye or out of my life. So we're taking a moment that exists now, as in we're looking up at the star, and bringing that rhyme into the desired situation with the words far and au revoir. So they are rhyming with the situation that it is now, to bring those two situations together. Blessings to you all.